Hello, guys. Once again, I'm doing a little minor study on what does it mean the Word became flesh. In Yochanan chapter 1, Perek Aleph, Pasuk Yud Daled 14, it says, V'hadavar niya basar v'yishchon besochinu v'nechazei chivodo kikvod ben yachid le'aviv rav chesed ve'emes. It says, the Word was made flesh and dwelled in our midst. We have beheld his glory, like the glory of a father's son, great in kindness and truth. Now, most Christians say, see, this means Jesus is God. It says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Well, the Midrash actually says that Mashiach was in the so to speak, thought of Hashem before creation of the heavens and the earth. And the word is Torah. So what does it mean the Word became flesh? What does this mean? Well, the Or HaChaim actually says something very similar to Moshe in Parsha Beshalach, and I'm just going to go through a little bit of what he says. He talks about the splitting of the Red Sea, the Yam Suf. It says, Vayet Moshe es yado al hayam, vayashav hayam, lifnos bocher le'esanu umitzrayim nesim, and then it says lichraso. It says Moshe stretched out his hand over the sea, and toward morning the water went back to its power. And the Or HaChaim wants to explain what does it mean went back to its power. And he says le'esanu, went back to his power. And he says the sages Chazal actually expound on this term le'esano. And it says our sages of blessed memory, Chazal, in Bereshis Rabbah 5:5, le'esano is interpreted as lisnoa, to its stipulation. And he goes on to say that the Yam Suf, the sea, went back to its original state from when it was created in the beginning. And then he says that when Moshe was commanding the sea to part, Moshe stretched out his hand, and the Or HaChaim explains that how did Moshe have this authority? And the sea in the Midrash, this is all allegorical now, Shemos Rabbah, the Or HaChaim says the sea began to argue with Moshe. It says the sea defied Moshe and said to him, I will not split on your account, for I was created on the third day of creation, and you were created on the sixth day, and thus I'm greater than you. This continued until Hashem stretched out his right hand and placed it upon the right hand of Moshe. As it is written in Yeshayah, Isaiah 63:12, he who places to the right of Moshe his glorious arm, who split the sea. And the Or HaChaim goes on that because of this, the sea had to obey. And he goes on with more about the difficulties. Or HaChaim explains the stipulation in another way. He says, in truth, this stipulation falls into the category of the stipulations that Hashem made regarding all the work of creation, whereby he required his creations to be subservient to the Torah and to those who toil in Torah, and to do all that the Torah scholars command them to, and to recognize that the dominion of the Torah scholars over Hashem's creation is akin to the dominion of the Creator himself. Blessed is he. And I think that's also in Kedushin 30b, that the agent becomes like the messenger himself. The agent is like the one the messenger sends. And he goes on, the Or HaChaim goes on, and he says, having demonstrated that all creation must obey the will of those who truly possess the Torah, and that this was the basis for the splitting of the sea. Or HaChaim resolves the difficulties laid out above. And he says, Mihine, now at the time of Israel's exodus from Egypt, they had not received the Torah. And accordingly, the commands they placed upon the world's creation were not valid and did not need to be obeyed. It is for this reason the sea did not agree to split for them, and made the argument to Moshe Rabbeinu that you were created on the 6th day, while I was created on the 3rd day. This argument alluded to the fact that Moshe had not yet taken possession of the Torah. For if he would already have taken possession of the Torah and the Torah had become part of him, then he could have responded that his creation actually preceded that of the sea. And since the Torah was created prior to the entire world, which it says in Pesachim 54a in the Gemara, it says, because of the sea's argument, Hashem, in his wisdom, placed his right hand upon the right hand of Moshe. This means that he showed the sea that Moshe was in fact the embodiment of the Torah, which is symbolized by Hashem's right hand. What does that sound like? The embodiment of the Torah. That sounds like the Word was made flesh and dwelt in our midst. You see, this is the true understanding in rabbinical writings of what Yochanan, John chapter 1, is really saying. That those that are involved in the Torah, that are great Torah scholars, become like the Torah in flesh. Okay, it even goes on to say, we now understand why the sea later split for other righteous individuals. Accordingly, any truly righteous person who might arise after receiving of the Torah need not only bring his promissory note, i.e. the Torah, in his hand, and he too will be able to force the water to split before him. This is why when the river did not wish to split for Ar Pinchas ben Yair and his companion Ar Pinchas ben Yair threatened to penalize it, for he was owed obedience, and the river became frightened of him and obeyed him. And even Yeshua, the Master, even says ourselves that we will do greater works than him. And you see, we have to believe that our prayers, that our Amunah, even the Rambam in Mishnah Torah says that we have the capability to be like Moshe ourselves. And this is what it truly means for the Word to become flesh. We literally embody the Torah when we are absorbed in the Torah, when we study Torah and fill ourselves with the Torah and take our mind away from the physical elements, the world and materialistic things. When we truly connect with the Creator, we become like the agent. And this is what it means. The Word became flesh. The Word became flesh. It doesn't mean like a simple interpretation that Christians, they just do not understand the Jewish background of these writings. So they just say this means Jesus is God. That's not what the author in Yochanan is saying. That is not what he's saying. He's saying that everything that Yeshua did represented Torah. From a young age, he was Torah observant. His parents were righteous. He embodied the Torah. He was living out the Torah. And that's what we are supposed to do, is live out the Torah. So I thought I'd just share that little commentary from the Or HaChaim and Yochanan. I hope you enjoyed. Shabbat Shalom.